Cassaundra, and I am actually a commercial real estate appraiser, so I appraise the sorts of things you see on this picture here, but none of my friends ever want to know what their shopping mall is worth. They do always want to know what their house is worth, though. So today I'm going to talk to you about how appraisers determine the value of your home. Now, we actually work for the bank, not for you. So the bank has a lot to say about how we go about appraising your value, and consequently, so does the federal government. And they do that primarily through use of the form, which is the URAR. It's absolutely beautiful. I did a shortened version of it here. It's based on the sales comparison approach, and this means that in order to estimate the value of your home, we're going to go look at what similar homes in your neighborhood sold for over the past 6 months to a year, and we're going to compare that house to yours. Now, this is our subject, and once we look at your subject, we're going to go to the multiple listing service, which is the online database of realtor transactions in town, to look for our comparables. Then we're going to start plugging it into the form, which is right here. The first line you see here is sale price. Automatically, we've got some limitations on what your home can be worth. In this neighborhood, homes in the last year sold from between $120,000 and $180,000. This is why you do not want to have the nicest house in the neighborhood. Banks want to see your value bracketed, so it should be somewhere in between the highest and the lowest selling home in your neighborhood. Now we're going to make an adjustment for site only if it's significantly different. Most of the time in town it won't be. In this case, 2 of our comparables sold with extra lots, so we did make an adjustment for that. Now quality and condition are going to be our next adjustments. In 2011, the federal government came out with the UAD, which is the Uniform Appraisal Data Set, and this standardized definitions. So now quality and condition are both ranked on scales of 1 to 6. Here you're going to see homes and their rankings for for quality. And usually, again, you're not going to see an adjustment for quality because homes in the same neighborhood typically are of the same quality. Now, it's important to remember, appraisers are actually going to be looking at the big picture of your home, not the little details. And beyond that, we really can't adjust any single comparable more than 20% of the total sale price. So what that means is when we're adjusting for condition, in this neighborhood, looking at these values, our condition adjustments are going to run between $5,000 and $20,000, and that's about it. Now, we set our subject as a C3, which means well-maintained. Comparables 1 and 4 were similar, so we didn't make any adjustment there. Comparable 2 was superior, so we took off $20,000. And comparable number 3 was inferior, so we added $10,000. Now, why is this important? Because if you're thinking about doing some huge renovation to your house and you're going to sink $25,000 into it, you may not get that back on the appraisal side. Cost does not necessarily equal value when you're talking about renovating. So, before you go put in that granite countertop, I want you to walk around your neighborhood, talk to your friends, find out what their houses look like. Is this going to bump you up to the next quality or condition level? Because if it's not, it's probably not going to be worth it. Room count. We are going to make an adjustment for bathrooms. Our subject here actually only has 1 bathroom, which is atypical. However, if we put in a new bathroom, it probably costs us a minimum of $10,000, 15 up to 20. What are we going to get back on the appraisal end? Not that much. Full baths, about $3,000. Half baths, $1,500. And it's that way until you get up into the over $5,000 house range. And then again, they're not even going up that much further. You're typically not going to see an adjustment for bedroom count unless your house is a rental. You will see an adjustment though for overall house size. So in this price range, we're looking at a $20 to $45 per square foot adjustment, and that can be pretty substantial. If your house is significantly larger, or if you're putting on an addition, that can make a difference in your overall home value. Now, other things on the form that you're going to see are basements. You do not get your money back on basements typically. We're looking at very small adjustments here, $10 to $15 a square foot if it's unfinished, an additional $5 per square foot if it's finished. So it's probably not going to be worth it to finish out your basement. You're also going to see adjustments for garages. A little bit better here. Ones I've been seeing, the appraisals I've looked at, are about $5,000 per bay. So if you've got a 3-bay garage and your neighbors have 1-bay garages, that's a $10,000 difference on your home value. Porches, patios, and decks, you're also going to see adjustments for, usually not based on the size. So unless you have a really huge deck, we're probably not going to make an adjustment for that. You either have one or you don't. And the adjustments are pretty small actually, $500, $1,000. You might get an additional $1,000 if it's covered or enclosed, but that's really about it. I think what's important here is what's not on the form. You don't really get credit for these things. Ceiling fans, fancy landscaping, finished out closets. Those things go into that big picture of quality and condition. You don't really get credit for them on your appraisal. So we've added and subtracted, and we've narrowed our range here. We're down to between about 130,000 and 155. And at this point, we might look back to some of those nicer things that you've got in your home and come in at the top end of the range, but typically your house is going to fall right in the middle of our final range of values. And that's really how appraisers go about valuing your home.